You're watching the Eternal Tournament Series.
And we're back for the finals here, the Week 3 ETS Open. I am Rhino, and joining me in the booth to bring us to this ultimate end, it's LocoPojo.
Yeah, we've got one last matchup here today, Argenport Midrange versus Grenadines. I have to say, I don't think Argenport Midrange is that favored in this one. Second Blue has already beaten Croge once, is that correct? And also beaten an Argenport control deck earlier today.
Yeah, this matchup can kind of be a tale of two games. Does Croge get the flying beatdown plan with Unseen Commando, Valkyrie Enforcer, Impending Doom, Instigator with the ping triggers to kind of pressure Grenadines? Or is it more of this kind of Tavrod or Interrogator value game? And if you end up on that plan, the Grenadines can have a huge advantage. The other advantage Grenadines have here is that a lot of their deck just blanks this targeted removal. Things like Vanquish and Slay and Annihilate just aren't quite as good against a board full of dorky little Grenadines that are generating value when they come down, thanks to things like Stone Scar Scrapper and Gear Cruncher.
Yeah, I just want to see a mid-range deck itself in frustration. And
yeah, Tavrod is not the end-all be-all in this matchup, that's for sure. I've played the Grenadines versus Argenport matchup before, and sometimes Argenport can simply just deck themselves as Tavrod just runs into a wall of Grenadines turn after turn. It's a really fascinating thing that can happen sometimes. We'll see if it plays out that way in this matchup. Yeah, the finals are underway, and Second Blue mulligans into a hand with some power issues that they'll need to figure out.
yeah, not much going on there. Croge has got pretty perfect power setup. He gets Argenport Banner into a Shadow Sigil for Instigators. He's got more banners to set up. He's basically looking really pretty as far as the hand is gonna go. He's got everything he wants for the early game and doesn't have to worry about the Tavrod in his hand until it eventually draws it.
Apparently, Croge is an expert at just giving his opponents bad luck. This is exactly what happened to Linnyvine in the last match. Just stuck on power, not the right influence. Croge gets to curve out and beat down with his units.
You don't need to play good. You just have to manipulate the laws of aReNGee. It's all good. We've got a pretty solid setup here. I'd say that Croge is looking really strong here with all of these 3-drops. And just like Argenport 3s are all really nasty. Interrogator, Enforcer, you've got Crown Watch Commando, there's the Bloodletters here. He's just got plenty of stuff to play, and he's pretty happy for it.
Yeah, Second Blue has double Annihilate. If he finds a Shadow Sigil off the top, he could conceivably climb back into this, but Combust is not a Shadow Sigil, and this one is over.
Yep, that'll be the game, just right quick. He's got Protect up, so he can play whatever he wants into it. And yeah, at that point, Second Blue just can't actually win from here. He can Annihilate, Torch, still dies. Good. Play Grenadine, Annihilate. That's not going to do it either. I think he's pretty
good.
Could pull
out the Torch's own face line from the last match, although it won't have quite the same results.
Not quite the same impact there. So we see the attack in, 14 damage, and a quick wrap-up for Croge. That's got to be feeling pretty good coming into it. He definitely needs to take some of the early matchups before Second Blue starts to get his entire deck just geared up against Argenport and ready to stall.
Yeah, so again, no sideboarding after game 1, so they're going to get back into it real quick, and Second Blue will be hoping that game 2 goes a bit differently than that one.
Yeah, so assumably that should be a little bit better luck for the Second Blue. But if Second Blue can get some Grenadines down, I think he'll have a much better time.
If there's one thing Second Blue can hang his hat on, is it'll be tough to have a worse game than that one.
Yep, pretty tricky.
Only go up from here, or maybe to the side.
Lindyvine managed it twice at least.
All miracles.
Indeed. So Croge versus Second Blue here. We see a Shadow Sigil into a basically nothing. That's probably not a hand that Second Blue is going to want to keep. And, Croge looking at something else entirely.
Yeah, so Second Blue needs to find some early Grenadines, but has a quarry that could do that and then set up the Devour and get going from there. And it has a Annihilate that he can actually cast. So a huge improvement for Second Blue here. And see what Croge can do about that.
Yep, Crest of Vengeance and Argent Instigator. We got a lot of stuff here that I kind of like. I really like the he's got the 3-drop set up. He's playing his power such that he can set a 2 and a 3, but not an Impending Doom on 4, which reduces his overall attack ability, or reduces his overall pressure a little bit. But if he can actually find some more undepleted power, then he's going to be pretty good to go.
Yeah. So Croge has the option of either curving out or getting a sabotage, and with the advent of that scout, I think we're going to see Sabo come out here as a banner gets put on the bottom of Croge's deck.
Yep, there's plenty of good Sabo targets. Madness, Annihilate, Devour, and Quarry all look really solid.
I think
Probably you want
Annihilate.
No, yeah, I'd say the Madness just because that combo is really nasty, but I like the Annihilate too. It's not bad.
Yeah, once you look at their hand and you see as many cards as you do, like Madness plus a Sacrifice can't really come out till turn 5. And your deck and your hand is looking to beat down here, right? You've got 2 aggressive flying units. Just take out their cheapest answer to them and hope you can go the distance in the meantime by getting multiple threats.
Oh, second blue has to decide if he wants to resist the Siren Call of the 6-cost Gear Cruncher. He manages to do it. He picks up a 4th power instead. So that sets him up, but it puts a Gear Cruncher in his Void, and that's 1 less Gear Cruncher that he can play over the course of the game.
Yeah, 1 less Gear Cruncher, but also guarantees that when he hits 5 power, he can do Madness plus Devour if he wants to do that. Again, he may opt to Devour here and try and develop his hand some more. We'll see what comes out, but I would think you're going to wait and try and turn Madness into a removal spell.
Yep, so here Croge knows that his Impending Doom is safe for 1 more turn, but probably not safe for a turn after that. He could do something really tricky and like try to silence it after, but I don't think that's really on his agenda.
I think if you silence something here with Valkyrie Enforcer, it's going to be that Spark Hatcher. Again, keep the flying beatdown plan going. Try and end this game before second blue finds his scrappers and turns this on you.
Yep. So second blue has Devour as an available option this turn if he wants to just try and pick something up, but Madness Devour is too important, so definitely going to leave that out. And yeah, steal the Impending Doom, get a little bit of damage in, and start looking for better cards.
Yep, I'm going to hope to find something real good off these Devours. Hopefully some more removal is really what the doctor ordered here, as Croge has 1 more flyer left and an Instigator. These are all problematic cards, and finds a Combust. That's better than nothing.
That's a very good choice for him here. He gets to Scrap Tank into Combust, which sets him up pretty well, except for the Slay, so he'll be okay for a while.
Also finds a Stone Scar Scrapper, so he's got all the tools he needs to turn this around. It's really a question of can he survive long enough to do so, and what's Croge going to find lurking on the top of his deck. If the flyer gets taken out, we're fully in a ground stall, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, the incidental damage from Argent Instigator is really adding up on second blue, but it's also starting to hurt Croge a little bit. There's some amount of damage that's getting pushed through that's going to matter when second blue starts, attacking with lots and lots of Grenadin at a time.
Yeah, so second blue will be forced to take out this Instigator as it's a form of evasion. It's just you can't really chump block while it exists. Croge did have to use Slay on that Scrap Tank there, so did not get to play down Tavrod, and now we'll see the magic of Stone Scar Scrapper here as it'll come down, gain some life, draw some cards, and be a 4/6 that's in play in the way of this Auric Interrogator.
Very, very solid stuff. Crest of Chaos getting him the 7th power he needs to play Gear Cruncher. And from here, he's got Grenadin drones, he's got combustion cells. He can really get moving on whatever he wants at this point.
Yep, he'll have a turn or 2 reprieve from this Tavrod, but once it gets going, finding Auric Runehammer does matter when you've got a valuable target like Scrapper in play. But in the meantime, I mean, he's got the ability to turn the corner here, depending on what he wants to do. He could go Gear Cruncher and immediately start drawing cards off of that.
He could throw the Grenadin and then Combustion Cell to play all of his cards at once, which would pretty well reveal his hand, but might be better for him in the long run.
Yeah, but here we see the Gear Cruncher comes down. 2 of those Grenadin will get eaten up for 2 cards. And yeah, it's on Croge to find something good off this first Tavrod swing. And again, if you swing with Tavrod, you're probably going to lose him too. Ooh, and yeah, second blue found the combust off that draw. So we'll see if this Tavrod hits well and true.
Yep.
There's
Got
the
pretty
hammer.
lucky. Auric Runehammer is definitely a solid hit, and that's something extra for Tavrod to play with.
Yeah. So second blue has the option of gang blocking Tavrod in some fashion. You do run the risk of, if you put Scrapper in front of it, that it would die to something like a Vera's Favor. So instead, just chump blocking it. You have the Combust in hand. Once you deal with this Tavrod and you have Gear Cruncher to clear out their Interrogator, you have Croge in top deck mode while you have a Devour and a whole lot of other stuff going on, and you're in pretty good shape if you're second blue here.
This Grenadin drone perfectly sets up the kill on Tavrods with the Gear Cruncher. He can combust the 3/4 if he wants to start attacking in, or he can just swing with 2, which is probably the best way to just get that Auric Runehammer out of the way.
Yeah, this Interrogator can become an issue once it gets a weapon on it, but in the meantime, you don't really care about it. So, you're running the risk that they put a weapon on it and then replace that weapon with a card draw, but that's worth saving something as valuable as Combust in this spot.
Yep, throwing a combustion cell away, because why would you really need a second one? And from here, he's at 9 power. He's looking pretty solid. His Gear Crunchers are now going to be in the nice 10-drop range, which is exactly where you want him to be. And he's just going to chump block that Instigator for the turn.
Yeah, he could afford to take 4 damage here. It's not like the Argenport deck has much reach, but he's got so many Grenadin, he doesn't mind throwing one away. And now Gear Cruncher is just going to do its thing, killing units every turn. Croge now has to find an answer to Gear Cruncher and find a threat that can win this race against all these Grenadin that are coming down. And that's not to mention that second blue still has a Combust in hand. This is not good for Croge in this game.
Yeah, there's just not much you can do once second blue is fully set up. Croge basically needs cards like Harsh Rule, which he doesn't have early in the deck, and can't really push through with flyers at this point, so that'll be game.
Yep, so that will even up this series 1-1. Second blue coming back from that rough game 1 and showing off what Grenadins can do again with that one. Once you get a couple Scrapper activations, your opponents are going to struggle to keep up. And we saw, a lot of people say, hey, if you swing with Tavrod once, you win. Croge did not even, I don't think, get close to winning that game once Tavrod swung. Really showing off what these Grenadin can do once they get going.
That go-wide strategy works very, very well against Auric Runehammers and Tavrods as well. So it's a pretty solid setup, and Gear Cruncher just manages to clinch it.
Yeah, so now we get to move to sideboards, and both players will figure out how they want to approach this. Again, second blue, a lot of the ways they lose this game is that Argenport gets aggressive and gets ahead, and second blue can't establish the synergies that he wants. So I expect some things like Sabotage, Suffocate, Torch, Annihilate, all of these nice, cheap early answers to these evasive threats that Croge has to come in.
Yeah, indeed, the Grenadins versus Argenport list that he's currently looking at has 3 Sabos, 3 Annihilates, and 1 Suffocate. Pretty solid in the deck.
Yeah, meanwhile, Croge has Mokdos for if he wants more bigger flyers, and 2 extra Protects to bring in the full set of 4 Protects plus 4 Sabotage. I think both of those we should expect to see. It's really a question of how much spot removal do you take out, right? Yes, it's bad against the small Grenadin, but they're still playing Stonescar Scrapper. They're still playing Gear Cruncher. They're still playing Scrap Tank. You've got to respect those threats.
Yep, pretty terrifying cards if you could get them down. So it's a pretty rough time. And yeah, we will see if those are going to be enough to push over. I do think that the flyer route is probably the only route that Croge can take that's going to actually pressure second blue enough to win the game. There's always the chance that second blue drops the ball on a Grenadin. Like if there's just not the right Grenadin at the right time, then we've seen that affect the Grenadin deck quite a bit and can certainly allow these mid-range units to slip through and get the damage that they need. But second blue's list is very well situated against these Argenport decks. So as long as he doesn't have another slip up like game 1, he should be okay.
Yeah, that's the beauty of card games. You got to play them out. You don't know what's going to happen. We can say who's favored and who's not, but the excitement happens because we simply don't know. We'll see if the challenge is out. Will it be accepted? Are the players ready? I don't know. But this will be a lot of dancing around sabotages and protects. It should be a real fascinating matchup here post-sport.
Variants aplenty. We'll see what all happens. Crest into Fire Sigil. I think we're looking at an okay hand for second blue, but 2 power is not an amazing amount. With the Grenade and Drone, that's worth considering,
Yeah.
but he's first, so I'd probably toss that back.
I think I would keep this 2-power hand because you have Combustion Cell and Devour and a 1-drop Grenadin. So even though it looks like a 2-power hand, it's going to be better than most of your mulligans, especially because you have the other two key pieces in Scrapper and Gear Cruncher. And it looks like second blue agrees with that, keeps it. And Croge does not have an early threat. It's just Impending Dooms. Got some disruption and sabotage, but Annihilate and Slay aren't going to be doing anything in terms of killing second blue soon.
Yeah, second blue considering playing down the Combustion Cell here to set up for a potential Stonescar Scrapper on 3, which wouldn't really help him that much, but I think that's probably going to be Devour instead.
Yeah, you might still play out the cell here just to get it out of your hand, but instead opting to hold up Devour is okay with eating one of these Grenadin here. Might use it in response to this Sabotage. Yeah, you might draw some other spells that get hit, but you really want to just keep hitting your power and get going here.
Yep, another Devour bites the dust, or maybe Combustion Cell, depending on how much Croge cares about second blue ramping.
Yeah, but no, he'll just take out the Devour. Not too concerned about this cell, but second blue with that digging finds the assembly line, gets more on the board, and Croge is still a couple turns away from getting a threat down with 2 Impending Doom in hand. Is probably hoping to draw a 3-drop here to at least get something on board before these do.
Yeah, second blue again eyeing the possibility of getting that Combustion Cell out early, but chooses to assembly line instead, pressuring Croge and getting that Arc Import mid-range up a little bit on the back.
Yeah, but and that's a huge draw from second blue. Finds a Madness, has the Combustion Cell, so doesn't need to worry about finding another sacrifice outlet because Combustion Cell is it. So now every Madness he draws will be a removal spell. And if Croge's plan is to tap out with Impending Doom next turn, which it looks like is his only option, he's going to get hit real hard by that.
Yeah, that's 5 damage for 2 power with second blue and kills the Impending Doom. Plus, the Impending Doom deals the 1 damage to Croge's face, which is never all that fun. I think second blue's pretty happy with that setup. Although he could play Stonescar Scrapper if he wanted to get really crazy.
Yeah, but I think that's way too ambitious against a deck that you know is playing 4 protects post board and they're tapped out right now. It's going to be hard to get a better setup for Madness right now than right now. But yeah, we see the Scrapper go here, instead opting to shift into the long game and just let Scrapper get to work, draw more cards, and use Madness later on.
Yep, that sets him up pretty well. It gets him the Annihilate, just 1 solid answer to Impending Doom. And didn't find him the 6th power that he was looking for, but he'll be able to play Gear Cruncher later on.
Yep, so Annihilate comes out here from Croge, means he can't play another threat out in this spot. But second blue's got his pick of the litter, has a Sabotage as well that he can play out now for the turn, and then can also do Line or Annihilate or Madness as that Sabotage takes out the Slay.
Yeah, I quite like... The one thing I do like about keeping the Madness this way is that Madness is second blue's best answer to Tavrod.
Sure.
He can just steal Tavrod, then that's just going to be such a big deal, especially since it might even throw like a single Grenadin or 2 into his Void. Not huge advantage, but enough.
Yeah, the other thing it can answer, though, is if it came in, Mokto, right? And there it is, right on cue. Mokto is the draw from Croge here. I doubt he's going to play that out, though, without any sort of protection. He'd much rather have Tavrod die to a Madness combust than his Mokto.
Yep, so we see that attack in. Tavrod looking for weapons. Oh, he doesn't find any. Bad luck. And
no Minotaurs either.
And then Combustion Cell will get him an extra power that he's not going to use for much, but I think that's still a pretty solid play.
Yep. Croge, finds an Instigator. Could play out 2 threats here. Could have went Instigator Doom, but instead goes with the singular Mokto. Passes back to second blue, who finds a Quarry. So his options are cheat out this Gear Cruncher with your Combustion Cell or use Quarry. And instead we just see a space first, take Croge down to 5.
You want that attack before you go Gear Cruncher, I think.
Oh, yeah.
He knows that there's no Slay in hand because he just sabotaged the only one. And since his opponent drew a unique threat in Mokto, that seems pretty likely that this is going to be the way to end the game.
Bloodletter's a
solid.
decent draw, though. That means Makto would get lifesteal this turn, but is gaining 8 even enough? That would put you to 13. You're staring down, I think, a bit more than that on the crackback. But you'll have one blocker coming down in Argenport Instigator.
Instigator as a block is kind of good. Actually, that's fairly bad for him.
The crackback. Oh, but by playing Instigator, now has a Suffocate target, and that will give him lethal. Suffocate on Instigators a damage, then swing for 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. I know math. Oh, and a torch.
And a torch. Just so that your perfect math is off.
Yeah.
There's exactly 13. No. That's exactly 12.
Yeah, that's exactly 12, but overkill is a good spot to be in. And yeah, Croge got the Makto, got the flying thread down, but it was simply too late, right? His answer to Gear Cruncher had been stripped by a sabotage. And even if he had the answer to that, he didn't have an answer to the rest of the Grenadin on the board.
Yep, pretty rough times, and Croge goes down a game. Pretty good stuff. They got one more round in them, assuming that Croge can't take a game back, and they'll be setting up for that 3 if Second Blue can take one more.
Yeah, Second Blue trying to pull off the reverse sweep, going down in that first game, but now up 2-1. So they'll do some maybe slight sideboard modifications before setting out the challenge again. And I think the story of this matchup is Croge is kind of wishing maybe he was on the version of Argenport that had Tinker Overseers just for a few extra early flyers that could have some more explosive pressure.
Should be lots of fun. Okay, so Second Blue opening with a Grenadin drone into 2 Devours. That's gotta be one of his strongest opening hands.
Yeah, that's going to give him all the gas he needs to set up into the mid to late game, provided he's not dead in the meantime. And Croge, again, has that double Impending Doom, but this time, crucially, has a 3-drop with Valkyrie Enforcer to get that pressure coming a little bit earlier. So he'll be pretty happy with this hit.
We're also seeing those protects for the first time, which is pretty crucial stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, protect is huge against a deck playing things like Madness. Can lead to some real headaches for Second Blue.
All right, so we see that Devour lining up a couple of power, and Second Blue is certainly not going to be hurting for any sort of power, but does kind of want some more threats to play to get some early aggression in. He's mostly good in the stall game, so he's probably not hurting too badly from not seeing much, and having consistent power is very, very important for the long, but still a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, this is lining up well for Croge right now, but we'll see if this Devour can find what Second Blue needs. It's going to need a lot. Croge has 4 flyers ready to go, 2 more Impending Dooms and a Makto to come. But it looks like for now it's just a quarry for Second Blue, digging for something, a scrapper. Ugh. Yeah, he's going to be on the
that late
game.
Here. Yeah, he might have to Madness an Impending Doom, which he doesn't really want to do. He really wants to save that for Makto or something scary. But overall, he could set up a bunch of different options here. He could go for Scrap Tank and then try to Devour something later. Madness Impending Doom is certainly fine, but there are a pretty sizable amount of threats still coming, so that's a little bit scarier. And one central problem here is he doesn't have enough graveyard potential for his Gear Cruncher to be good.
Yeah, he hasn't seen many Grenadin yet. No assembly lines casted, simply just 1 Grenadin drone. So, yeah, Gear Cruncher is a ways away from being a relevant card. Meanwhile, Croge just scouted and saw Tavrod on top of the deck, and he kept that on top.
Yeah, it seems like a reasonable keep. Scrap Tank there on a Crest of Chaos gets somewhere, but Second Blue's really just looking for anything. And despite all of this cresting, all of these Devours, all of these quarries, he just hasn't found like the threat that he's looking for to make the deck work.
Yep, Second Blue is having the game go the way he wants it, where he's got the flyers. He finally gets in for some more damage. Second Blue now down to 17, even after gaining all that life off Devour. And Croge has to decide, does he want to clear the board? Nah, would rather get a Makto down, leaving the Protect Shield down as well, though.
Okay, well, this Annihilate's actually very good for him. He gets to Stonescar Scrapper, draw some cards, and still kill Impending Doom. It means that he's just a little bit higher up and also has a fairly big threat in the form of Scrap Tank. That's quite solid.
This Scrap Tank is a 2-turn clock. It's 7 damage. So it'll be something Croge has to deal with or chump block here. And yeah, we'll see the Annihilate come out on Impending Doom now so that he doesn't have to sweat the Protect.
An important consideration here, and with Assembly Line Combust, there's a couple of interesting options there. That creates a 9/9, so Croge has to actually like block here, but he's got the Slay too, so everything lines up perfectly, and that actually puts second blue into pretty dangerous territory. He's now on a 2-turn clock as well.
Sabotage the draw for second blue can take out Protect or Sabotage. I think you'll take the Protect considering you won't have any Sabotage targets left if this turn goes the way you want. So you might just have to play out the Gear Cruncher, and yeah, that's what we see. So Gear Cruncher will make 5 Grenadins. It's ready to kill anything that comes down. Even if Tavrod comes down, you can cast Assembly Line and then kill. It's just a question of, is that going to be enough to turn this game around for second blue?
Yeah, it's hard to say. We got Croge looking at a really sizable amount of flyers. 5 to 8 plus 3 is 11 exactly. So if he attacks this turn and then loses Mokto, he's still fine.
The problem is Croge is at 7 health as well. So it's not like he can just, he wants to race here. As you said, 8 plus 3 is 11. That's lethal against second blue. And they've got a Gear Cruncher. You can't play the long game. You kind of have to race here. But you run the risk if you swing with both that Madness or something like that kills you because your power's depleted and you want to play out Tavrod here. You can't play Sabotage.
Yeah, I feel like he could have tested the waters there with Sabotage before making his decision, but
then you can't play Tavrod.
Yeah, he might have gotten psyched out a little bit. And I guess not being able to play Tavrod, that also happens too.
Yeah, yeah. So this way you kind of have to respect Madness and things like that. Now Gear Cruncher can activate and kill Mokto so that you're not dead in the skies.
Fairly important.
Yeah. So I expect that to be the play from Croge is Assembly Line out, kill Mokto. Now it's a 2-turn clock in the skies if they don't draw Bloodletter, but you can't really play around that anyways.
Yep. He could have done something like extremely cheeky and tried to kill the Valkyrie and force her to push more damage, but I think that's just not really working all that well. Going down to 1 for science is probably not correct.
Yeah, when your opponent plays 4 Varus favors, 1 is almost 0 because they have some reach, and there's the Bloodletter. Nothing you can do about that if you're second blue. Croge had that out and found it.
I would have liked to see the Sabotage first still, just in case of like a 0-cost torch or something, but I mean, there wasn't anyway.
Yeah, 0-cost torch, you know, the weapon doesn't use the stack anyway, so that actually not sabotaging is the correct move against a 0-cost torch because then they just can torch in response.
Fair enough.
So yeah, just slam that Bloodletter and thank your deck for being so kind as to get this to game 5.
All right, yeah, Croge definitely got like a decent amount of scary flyers out. Mokto was carrying that 5 slot, where Tavrod was more or less just kind of holding still. And yeah, I think we got a reasonable amount of stuff going on where second blue is going to have to really struggle to get this last match finished. 2 fire influence in the first hand, not great, so that leaves it to the mulligans.
Yep. And hey, another Grenadin Drone double Devour hand. So second blue's deck cooperating quite a bit more now. Meanwhile, Croge looking for some flyers as double Instigator, though, actually very strong against Grenadins.
Yep, second blue's not in as strong a position as he was last time because he does have to play the Grenadin, play the banner, and combust, and can't actually devour on turn 2 the way that he could.
And it has a 3rd Devour. Luckily, he has an Assembly Line to feed it. And yeah, opts to not even use Combust here, trying to save Combust for bigger threats. But now that double Instigator's out, that's the clock is ticking maybe a bit faster than second blue anticipated. Finds a torch. Do you get greedy and Devour? No.
I feel like Devour is not bad at all here, but he might just torch Combust and like knock the board back down to a regular state so that he can start being aggressive again.
Yeah, I mean, you have another Combust in hand, even if you use 1. I realize they're really valuable against a deck playing Tavrod and Mokto, so he's trying to play the long game. The problem is you can't play the long game if you're dead. But Croge here will play out the Impending Doom, and I think it's safe to say that will get combusted.
Yeah, loses some development, but keeps himself alive against the 5/5. Second Blue's play is just really, really conservative. He's very, very good at determining when he needs to do particular things that you would otherwise assume to be just sort of natural. Like, this is a situation where you just expect him to develop his power, but he's been very, very good about being patient and waiting for the correct opportunity.
Yeah, I kind of would have preferred to devour on your turn just because you did miss power. Like, I realized you get slightly more value out of blanking a removal spell, and you could have used it to chump block devour. But the fact that you missed your third power, I don't think I fully agree with that. It is what it is. It goes back to second blue now that Croge found another threat with this Valkyrie Enforcer and is just going to keep the pressure coming. Second blue's down to 16 health.
Yeah, he can combust here to kill a flyer, which is not an unreasonable route. It's not great either, but he kind of needs to do something here against the Argent Port Instigators and the like. And he doesn't have the ability to devour this turn either. So he'll gain some life back with the Devours, but the Instigator is actually getting just a really sizable amount of damage in. This card has been probably more scary than a 5/5.
Yeah, Croge is going to be so happy to see 2 combusts already down. That means if a Mocto ever does show up, it's going to be very hard for second blue to kill, which is why second blue was trying to hold on to this combust for as long as reasonably possible. Just the draws didn't quite work out. So here we go. Grenadin comes in, will get devoured, and second blue is going to hope to find some more torches or annihilates and get this last threat off the board at some point.
Yep, still being very careful, leaving 1 unit back just in case of removal. Third Argent Port Instigator coming in. At this point, the Devours aren't actually gaining life anymore, which is just very problematic.
They're not losing you life either, though, I guess is the good news. It's an even trade. But I guess the one thing you can hang out on for your second blue is that these Instigators aren't Moctos that you actually have no answer to.
Yeah, these Instigators have been pretty crazy. I feel overall it's a pretty rough setup. Annihilate here kills an Instigator, and you have to wonder if Croge is even just going to throw his Annihilate to deal 2 damage. I don't think that's a particularly strong play, but
I don't know. At 12 health, I think you kind of needed to Annihilate on your turn instead of risking the Protect, although you do also get the upside of Bloodletters, I suppose. But here comes the Annihilate. Croge has that Annihilate of his own. You did talk about this 2 damage play, but he passes on that, wants to save it for Gear Crunchers and Scrappers, which can actually cause him problems.
Yep, Gear Cruncher is probably the worst option. Combust here kills the Instigator finally. Still doesn't feel good, but
9?
might be correct.
Can you afford to keep this Instigator in play for like 1 more turn?
I don't love it. Looks like he's not going to go for it.
The other thing you have to think about is second blue is now seeing pauses. He may know, like, you might be able to say, oh, that's an Annihilate, but he could also be like, oh, that could be a Protect. So that could be another reason to not play out Combust. Now, this Impending Doom is almost certainly going to force the Combust, because if you don't Combust it, you're dead.
Yep. With a Grenadin drone, he's got 3 blockers for Instigator, which is sort of what he wants. But then he's down to just top decks to win, and any Annihilate is just dead.
Yeah, so Combust will come out on that Impending Doom. No pause there. Now, second blue hasn't figured out that Croge has an Annihilate in hand. He has by this point, if he's been paying attention to the pauses, right? No pause on 1, but there's been a pause on 2 or more. That means Annihilate is the card in Croge's hand. But he's still got to hold back the Grenadins and go for the triple block?
Yeah, there was a pause on 1. He only had 1 power open there, so that was a Protect.
Well, there wasn't a pause, because there is no Protect.
No. Certain I saw one, but that's fine. We've got Valkyrie Enforcer there. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm not looking at Croge's hand right now, so.
Okay, yeah, no. Croge has an Annihilate and Vanquish in hand, but looks like second blue is dead. Instigator trigger +3 in the air is going to finish it off. So no Scrapper that game to dig second blue out of those troubles. And Croge got there with that incredibly aggressive draw thanks to all those Instigators.
Yeah, Argent Port midrange wins it out. I don't believe a single one of those games was won off the back of a Tavrod, but just the amount of flyers and the strength of those Argent Port Instigators were really, really influential in getting basically a situation where second blue just couldn't find the reliable course of his deck. He drew through an awful lot of his deck all 3 games. Like, he was able to devour his way into big pile of stuff, but he never had a sizable amount of threats that were particularly good in the matches he lost.
Yeah. So congratulations to Croach taking down the tournament with Argent range, and of course that's off to Second Blue with another great showing of Grennan and some excellently played matches throughout the day. So here to help us bring this tournament to a close, it's everybody's favorite tournament organizer, Rick Henner. How you doing, buddy?
Good evening, Rhino and Pojo. This is Rick Henner, your tournament organizer here. So I'd like to congratulate both Second Blue and Crows for making to the finals, and a special congratulations for Crows for guaranteeing their place in the Invitational. Remember, our Invitationals this year only earned the finalist an Invitational berth. However, after Second Blue's performance, where he's actually made it to the top 8 3 times in the last 3 weeks, I don't think there's going to be any doubt on his ability to qualify for the Invitational. Next, I'd like to thank all the players and all the viewers. If it wasn't for all of you, we couldn't be doing this. Putting this tournament and stream on every week is great. We've had over 100 players for the last 3 weeks running, and we'd like to keep that going if at all possible. It's been some amazing turnouts, everyone. I'd also like to thank Miller Tool and Teehee, our producers. Without them, we could not be putting on this broadcast. And a quick apology, Teehee's internet did have some issues toward the end of the semifinal round / into the beginning of the finals. So once again, sorry about that, everyone. I'd also like to thank our graphics and co-contributors who make our jobs much easier, specifically Mengar for his deck image creation tool. And I would also like to thank our video editor, X Kirby, for his weekly highlights. And a thank you to aReNGee himself as the founder of the site, the original tournament organizer, and the person responsible for a lot of behind-the-scenes work, especially for Team League. And speaking of getting work done for Team League, a special shout out to Zenorath, our new tournament organizer who's been helping me out since the Eye of Winter Classic. He's come into his own, and he's actually become sort of the face of Team League itself behind the scenes. A huge thank you to our Twitch subs and Patreon backers. They make it possible for us to have the prize pools at our events, and none of this would be possible without you. $20 Patreon backers are Chuck Hurst, Andre Pokai, Sea Power Gaming, Frosty HS, Carell, and an honorary shout out to you and me and your best friend who has gifted, I believe, like 15 subs to people in the channel at this point. And also a special shout out to Croge, who resubbed today. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying he resubbed today and he won. You can find our Patreon at www.patreon.com/RNGEternal. And finally, thank you to our casters, LocoPojo and Sir Rhino. Pojo, would you like to say anything to the Twitch audience before we head out for the night?
Oh, well, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to check my stream out, I am LocoPojo on Twitch. I also run a YouTube channel that's, I think, running up on 5,000 subscribers. So if you want to head over there, there's a lot of cool content up there for people who want to see cool, crazy decks. And we're actually just finishing up with our Eternal Basics videos, going to rework those and set those up. So it's all good times. Feel free to check them out. And I really enjoyed doing this, so I hope you guys did as well.
Thank you, Pojo. How about you, Rhino?
Yeah, I stream on Twitch as well, Sir_Rhino. I've been a little busy lately, so I haven't had quite as regular of a schedule as I'd like, but usually you can catch me during the afternoons Eastern time, and I like playing Eternal, so if you like playing Eternal, I recommend checking it out. We have a lot of fun, try different decks, complain about bad luck, all the things that all Eternal players love to do, and yeah, check it out. And of course, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to hang out in the booth here. Real fun time.
Yeah, I hear you haven't even hit Masters yet this season yet, Rhino, so good luck on that.
You know, I'm trying something different this month. It's called Lose More Than I Win, and it's made for some entertaining days of Eternal, at least.
Oh, I do that all the time. It's well worth it.
Can confirm. Can confirm. All right. So remember out there, everyone. Oh, actually, real quick, sorry. A quick shout out to Counterbob, one of our casters, and he has headed up getting deck techs made. We showed 2 of his different deck techs today. If you want to give us feedback, you can either give feedback to me or aReNGee, or if you want to give feedback directly to him, he is CounterBob on Discord. He's on the Eternal Discord. But yeah, hopefully we'll be getting more interstitial content made for the rounds, aside from just the highlight videos. Although, once again, shout out to XRB for doing a lot of work on those. All right, everyone. I believe that is coming to the end of our show. Remember, if you want to play in the ETS, it is free and open registration. Full details can be found at rngeternal.com/ETS and primarily in the Eternal Discord server in the tournament info channel. If you have any questions, feel free to message me or aReNGee or Zenorath about registration or details. So, coming up tomorrow, we have the ETS Team League Season 2, Week 4. We're going to be halfway through the season after this week, so we'll really start to get a better idea of how the standings are playing out. The aReNGee Eternal staff, in terms of production, is taking this a little bit more hands-off, but a lot of the players and teams are broadcasting their own point of view. Sorry. So some of those teams include the SPG folks, ET streaming on Manu's channel. I believe SPG is streaming on their actual Seek Power Gaming channel. Komodo is streaming for Team Owls and Dragons. The Alamows usually stream on Sunny's channel. But really, we'll be trying to put up links to all of the channels that are being streamed in the tournament channels in Discord tomorrow. So come check them out. Check out some new players, some old players, some fan favorites, and see who comes out on top. The broadcasts do include Bradykin, XKirby, LocoPojo, Lights Out Ace, and I on this channel, and it will actually be at 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. It'll be 2 p.m. this week and next weekend, and I believe 4 p.m. the weekend after that. And that is it for this week's show. We stream the ETS every Saturday, the Magical Christmas Band Point of View Team League on Sunday, and Lights Out Ace streams on Wednesday and Thursday night. Again, thanks everyone. Have a good night.